President Muhammadu Buhari recently restored the mandate of the Nigerian Law Reform Commission, including its powers to revise the laws of the Federation of Nigeria. By this development, the Commission is embarking on the review of several laws of the Federation of Nigeria. My guest on this week's episode of the program gives details of the laws that will be reviewed. Compliments of the season and a warm welcome to the very last edition of Dateline Abuja for the year 2018. I'm Ibrahim Adra. The major business of the Nigerian Law Reform Commission is to keep under review all federal laws with a view to their systematic development and reform in consonance with prevailing norms of the Nigerian society. So, which laws of the Federation is under consideration for review by the Commission? The chairman of the Commission speaks on reviewing the laws of the Federation in the interview segment. But first, here are other stories that made the headline within the week in the nation's capital.
The committee set up to investigate allegations of fraud against the Executive Secretary of the National Health Insurance Scheme, NHIS, Professor Usman Yusuf, has submitted its report. The committee submitted the report of its findings to the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Mr. Boss Mustafa. However, it refused to make public the recommendations.
Mr. President, on the recommendation of my office, approved the constitution of a 7-man Presidential Independent Fact-Finding Panel headed by a retired Permanent Secretary, Dr. Hassan Bukar, to look at the immediate and remote causes of the conflict that engulf the NHIS. The panel was inaugurated on Friday, 2nd November 2018 and charged with a 5-point terms of reference, including the responsibility for examining all governance issues challenging the scheme. The panel was given 2 weeks to submit its report. However, the assignment had to be extended due to the nature of the work and the need to address core issues on a lasting basis. Let me assure you that the decision of government on the recommendations of the panel will be made public at the appropriate time. I also want to assure all Nigerians that this government remains very committed to making life worth living for all of us.
The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation has assured motorists of adequate supply of petrol during the Yuletide. The Group Managing Director of the NNPC, Mr. Mekanti Baru, gave the assurance during a tour of some filling stations in the nation's capital.
Late January to early February, we are bringing in about double the daily requirements of the country, and we're able to build up stock. At the moment, we have 60 days supply in tank, about almost 3 billion liters of PMS. That will last us, without bringing any extra drop of fuel, another 60 days.
The Minister of Finance, Mrs. Zainab Ahmed, has highlighted steps taken by government to increase revenue generation in 2019. This includes the introduction of a national single-window trading platform for the Nigerian Customs Service and automation of revenue collection processes, which is expected to increase revenue by over 90%.
Plan to leverage on data, technology tools, as well as platforms to foster collaboration, grow the revenue base, and improve collections. Given the span of stakeholders that form our port community, and for the sake of improving the ease of doing business, we plan to deploy a national single-window trading platform that will be led by the Nigerian Customs.
Vice President Professor Yemi Osinbajo continued his door-to-door campaign with a visit to yet another family in Abuja. Professor Osinbajo's visit to the family in the Gariki area of the nation's capital lasted about 20 minutes, during which he interacted with family members. The visit attracted a huge crowd of supporters whom he spoke to about the government's plans to take the country to the next level.
The message is that our country is going to the next level. We are going to do better and better and better. We are not going to go back to the past where people are stealing money. We are going to use the money of Nigeria to help Nigerians so that traders will have more money for their trading. People who are working will have more. Young people will have jobs. Our women will have markets to sell. They will have enough things to sell so that every Nigerian can prosper. We will not allow a situation, and Mr. President has said he's not going to allow a situation where people steal our money. No, that's why we are not going back to the past. Our money must be used for Nigerians, for all of you who are here, everybody who is here. All of us must have work. All of us must have money to trade. That's why we are doing trader money, market money, all these things, so that every trader will have something to do. Every young person will have a job. That's what we are trying to do. And by God's grace, Muhammadu Buhari, who is our president, another 4 years as president, this country will prosper. This country will be abundant by the grace of God.
The chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service, Mr. Babatunde Fowler, has announced plans by the federal government to take over 30 properties linked to companies not paying taxes. Fielding questions from journalists during the ministerial press briefing in the Ministry of Finance, Mr. Fowler explains that only 561 out of the 2,000 corporate institutions identified as tax defaulters have made payments.
In terms of the properties, we look at the value of the properties to estimate the minimum turnover. And based on that, we ask them to pay taxes. Out of those 2,000, about 569 have come forward and have paid taxes. We have done an assessment of 8 billion, out of about 3 billion has been paid, while the others have asked for instrumental payment. Also, 116 claimed not to own those properties. 30 of them have put it in writing, claiming that they do not own the properties in question. And we have written accordingly to the Ministry of Finance and the other authorities, and I believe that government will take those properties over in line with the law. Now, this exercise has been done across the nation. We have concluded the review in Lagos, in Osun, starting in Kaduna. So we still have all the 36 states to go through. And also, we've concluded with the Federal Capital Territory. So just for the record, we're not charging property tax. We're charging taxes on corporate organizations that own property that have not filed any returns or paid any taxes.
Christians in the nation's capital joined the rest of the world to celebrate the birth of Jesus Christ at Christmas. The primate of the Anglican Communion, Most Reverend Nicholas Oko, used the opportunity to ask Nigerians to reject all forms of vote buying in the 2019 general elections.
The electorate should not sell their votes. They should not collect stomach infrastructure. They should not allow anybody to come and intimidate them. Because if we yield to intimidation, we will never get it right.
President Muhammadu Buhari received some residents of the nation's capital who were in the State House to pay him Christmas homage. The delegation was led by the FCT minister. He used the opportunity to announce his plans to kickstart the 2019 presidential election.
I am constrained to tell you this because we are once more into the brief, as Shakespeare said in Henry V. I said I will contest. The party nominated me, and the election, we are watching INEC very seriously, and we are going out very soon to start going geopolitical zone by geopolitical zone, to mention to the people and remind them our promises in 2015.
The Nigeria Police has announced the arrest of 2 principal suspects and 3 other collaborators allegedly involved in the murder of the immediate past Chief of Defense Staff, Air Chief Marshal Alex Bade. Addressing a news conference, the Force Public Relations Officer, Mr. Jimoh Moshood, said investigation into the murder of the former defense chief is still ongoing and all the suspects will be paraded as soon as investigations are completed.
On the directive of the Inspector General of Police, IGP Brian K. Idris MNI, that the Police Joint Investigation Team set up by the IGP and mandated within shortest possible time to arrest all those responsible for the killing of the former Chief of Defense Staff, Air Chief Marshal Alex Bade, on the 18th of December 2018 in Nasarawa. 2 principal suspects who participated in the killing of the former Chief of Defense Staff, Air Chief Marshal Alex Bade, and 3 other suspects connected to the crime that they carried out on the 18th of December 2018 have been arrested by the intelligence response team of the IGP and the Special Tactical Squad. These suspects are currently in police custody, undergoing investigation. I equally want to add for the public to know that the investigation into the killing is being intensified to arrest other suspects still at large. It is of significant note for the public to equally be aware that the parade of these 2 principal suspects and the 3 other gang members will not come up today, so as not to jeopardize the ongoing investigation.